Every now and then, a person wakes up feeling a subtle stirring, an inner whisper that says, your life is capable of far more than what you're settling for. Sometimes it comes after a disappointment. Sometimes it arrives in the middle of a routine morning. Sometimes it's triggered by watching someone else take flight. A neighbor who starts a business, a friend whose idea suddenly becomes the talk of town, an immigrant family that transforms a small hustle into a global enterprise. Regardless of how it shows up, that whisper has one mission: to remind you that you were never designed to merely survive. You were designed to soar. This is the same conviction that pulses through every page of T.D. Jakes' book, Soar, a powerful blend of spiritual clarity, entrepreneurial wisdom, emotional strength, and practical strategies for turning ideas into sustainable ventures. Jakes insists that dreams are not accidental fireworks bursting randomly in the mind. They are divine blueprints waiting for human hands to bring them into reality. If ideas are wings, discipline is the wind beneath them. If vision is the spark, structure is the engine. If faith is the fuel, work is the runway. And so the central truth of Soar stands tall. You are both the pilot and the plane. You are not helpless. You are not stuck. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle. Your mind is an aircraft factory filled with unbuilt futures. If you love powerful, insightful, and life-changing books, then you found the right channel. Every week, we break down the ideas that transform mindsets, elevate success, and shift lives. So don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you'll want to catch every book we review. Let's continue. Around the world, millions of people today feel trapped between the desire for change and the fear of stepping out. Inflation rises, job markets shift, global crises emerge unpredictably, and yet in the midst of instability, some people, everyday people, rise. They reinvent themselves. They start businesses from kitchen tables. They build brands from their phones. They find opportunities in breakdowns. They proved what Jakes teaches. The runway to your destiny is rarely smooth, but it is always enough for takeoff. Understanding how to soar is not simply about financial prosperity. It's about personal agency. It's about believing that you were not born to watch others live boldly while you shrink in hesitation. It's about understanding that purpose demands participation. Just like God gives birds wings but does not fly for them, He gives humans ideas but does not execute them for us. The gift is divine. The building is human. Jakes uses the metaphor of aviation, designing planes, preparing them, testing them, fueling them, and setting them loose in the sky to illustrate the process of turning dreams into enterprises. A dream is exhilarating, but unless it is engineered, tested, structured, and maintained, it never leaves the hangar. Around the world, people who succeed are not simply those who dream. They are those who build. This is why Soar is not written only for entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley or CEOs in Manhattan, but also for the mechanic in Lagos with a vision for owning his own workshop, the stay-at-home parent in Atlanta who wants to launch a digital craft store, the student in Nairobi with an idea for an app, the employee in London who wants to transition from salary dependence to creative independence. In this summary, as we journey through the essence of Jakes' message, we will explore the fundamental principles he weaves into the metaphor of flight, each lesson seamlessly leading into the next, grounded in spiritual truth, yet alive with real-world practicality. And as we unpack these ideas, we will interlace them with powerful examples from around the world, showing how ordinary individuals, corporations, and social innovators have applied the same principles to rise above their circumstances. By the time this full 5,000-plus word journey ends, you will not simply understand what it means to soar. You will feel it. You will recognize the dormant aircraft within you, your gifts, your ideas, your relentless instincts to create. You will see how your past experiences, your frustrations, your dreams, your skills, your failures, and even your fears can all be engineered into the wings that lift you. And most importantly, you will know that soaring is not for the chosen few. It is for the committed. It is for the visionary. It is for the one who refuses to let excuses become destiny. It is for the person willing to take that first trembling step on the runway and say, "It's my time to fly." The seed of an idea and the responsibility to build it. T.D. Jakes starts by establishing a foundational truth. Every great achievement begins as a simple idea. Ideas are divine whispers, seeds that carry powerful potential. But the seed itself is not the harvest. A seed left unplanted dies with its promise intact but unrealized. Likewise, an idea unexecuted becomes one more regret buried in the soil of procrastination. This is why Jakes emphasizes that ideas come with responsibility. God gives the dream, but you must build the structure. God gives the picture, but you must design the plan. God gives the intuition, but you must do the research, the studying, the networking, the execution. This mindset reflects a lesson woven subtly in the narrative. The moment you receive a dream, you inherit an obligation. Consider how many extraordinary visions die prematurely because the person believed that the idea alone would carry them. The truth is, ideas are cheap. Execution is what separates dreamers from builders. A brilliant young woman in Detroit may envision a world-class hair care brand customized for diverse hair textures. A software engineer in India may dream of creating an AI-driven agriculture app to help small farmers optimize their crops. A truck driver in Texas might have an idea for a logistics company that responds better to rural delivery problems. But ideas without discipline remain fantasies. This principle reveals itself everywhere in recent success stories. For instance, think about Airbnb. It began not as a billion-dollar company, but as an idea from two struggling roommates in California who simply wondered if strangers might pay to sleep on an air mattress. The idea was simple, almost embarrassingly small, but they treated it with the seriousness of a divine assignment. They built, improved, refined, expanded, failed, retried, iterated, pitched, and persisted until the idea became an aircraft capable of global flight. In the same way, Jakes urges readers to respect the ideas given to them. The dream is not random, it is entrusted. You are a steward of a possibility meant to uplift your life and potentially transform the lives of others. The responsibility attached to a dream also reveals another embedded lesson. Ideas demand clarity before they demand action. A plane cannot fly if its design is vague. Likewise, an idea cannot thrive if its purpose is blurry. Many people sabotage their dreams because they want to act without understanding. Yet clarity is the first engineering phase of any vision. Jakes challenges the reader to understand what exactly they want to build and why. We see this clarity principle at work in businesses globally. Consider Elon Musk, not the controversial figure often in the headlines, but the disciplined thinker behind transformative infrastructure. When he envisioned Tesla and SpaceX, clarity of purpose created momentum. The goal was not simply to create cars, it was to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. It was not simply to build rockets, it was to make humanity multi-planetary. With clarity, even the impossible looks navigable. You may not be building rockets or global platforms, but clarity applies to every dream, no matter the scale. If a woman in Nairobi wants to start a bakery, she must be clear about her niche. Is she specializing in wedding cakes, affordable street pastries, healthy snacks? Without clarity, she wastes resources. With clarity, she conserves momentum. This is what Jakes underscores. Clarity gives ideas wings. Without it, you have a plane without aerodynamics, something that looks meaningful but cannot leave the ground. And yet, clarity alone is not enough. It leads naturally to another principle. You must validate your dream through research and preparation. This transitional lesson flows organically from the previous one. Once an idea is clear, you must study the environment into which it will be launched. Jakes compares this to weather patterns in aviation. No pilot takes off without assessing conditions. Similarly, entrepreneurs must learn their market, understand their competitors, study their customers, and evaluate the financial realities of their vision. This type of preparation does not weaken faith, it protects it. A dream built on ignorance collapses under pressure. A dream built on research withstands turbulence. A powerful global example is how small businesses in Nigeria, Kenya, the US, and the UK adapted during COVID-19. The entrepreneurs who survived were not those who relied on inspiration, but those who studied new consumer behavior. Restaurants that quickly researched delivery systems survived. Fashion houses that pivoted to masks stayed relevant. Tech founders who analyzed digital demands expanded. Preparation transformed crisis into opportunity. This mirrors Jake's assertion that studying your environment is not a distraction from your destiny. It is the engineering necessary to ensure your dream can survive harsh realities. When Jakes teaches that research is an act of stewardship, he is not merely encouraging busyness. He is insisting on a level of respect for the dream itself. A dream that is worth living for is a dream worth preparing for. Many people romanticize success but ignore its architecture. Preparation is what protects the dream from becoming fragile. Without research, your idea becomes a paper plane, beautiful in intention, but powerless against wind. And yet, as preparation deepens, another truth emerges naturally. Fear will test your readiness more than failure ever will. This is a recurring current that pulses through Jakes' writing. Every builder confronts fear. Fear of inadequacy, fear of shame, fear of losing money, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. Fear is often the loudest voice on the runway screaming that you should turn back before you embarrass yourself. But Jakes reminds us that fear is not an enemy to escape, but a signal to interpret. Fear appears whenever you approach unfamiliar possibilities. That means fear is often confirmation that you are standing at the threshold of growth. Fear appears because the old version of you can't handle the assignment the new version of you must undertake. Fear appears because the dream is stretching your identity, your capacity, your thinking, and your comfort zone. The people who rise, globally and locally, are not those who are fearless. They are those who move despite fear. They build while afraid. They study while unsure. They take the first step with shaking hands. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear decide the outcome. Consider the story of Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, who became the youngest self-made female billionaire in America. She started with $5,000 in savings, no business background, no investor support, and countless rejections from manufacturers. But she pushed through fear, often reminding herself that failure is not fatal, it is feedback. Her fear did not disqualify her, her persistence did. Today, Spanx is a global brand because she understood a principle Jakes strongly emphasizes: do it afraid, but do it prepared. Another example is the rise of digital entrepreneurs across Africa and Southeast Asia who launched apps, fintech platforms, transport solutions, and educational tools in environments where venture capital was scarce and government support inconsistent. Fear was their daily companion, not just fear of failure, but fear of instability, corruption, or economic uncertainty. Yet they advanced anyway. Companies like Flutterwave, Paystack, and Gojek were built in calm waters. They were built where the presence of fear forced innovation, adaptation, and resilience. This reinforces another embedded lesson from Jakes. Fear becomes manageable when purpose becomes stronger. Purpose acts as emotional fuel. When you deeply understand why you are building something, fear loses its grip. A pilot flying through turbulence trusts the purpose of the journey more than the discomfort of the moment. Similarly, a builder whose vision will feed their family, transform their community, reshape their identity, or honor their God cannot afford to surrender to fear. This is why Jakes encourages readers to locate the deeper purpose of their dream. Is it to provide generational stability for your children? Is it to create opportunity in your community? Is it to honor a passion buried for years? Is it to become financially independent? Is it to solve a real problem in society? When purpose is strong, determination becomes instinctive. But once fear is confronted and purpose is clarified, another essential lesson arises. You must design a realistic plan for the dream you hope to execute. A dream without a plan is a frustration waiting to happen. In aviation, every flight requires a flight plan. Routes, fuel estimates, weather expectations, emergency alternatives, timing, and destination coordination. A pilot who tries to improvise mid-air endangers everyone on board. In the same way, a dreamer without a plan risks sabotaging the dream prematurely. Jakes stresses the importance of strategy, not vague wishes, but concrete steps. This is where many people stumble. Inspiration excites them, execution overwhelms them. But planning breaks down the impossible into manageable components. Planning turns someday into step one. Planning narrows focus. Planning eliminates unnecessary detours. Think about entrepreneurs like Rihanna, whose Fenty beauty brand transformed the global beauty industry. Her success was not accidental. She identified a massive gap: lack of inclusive makeup shades for women of all skin tones. Her plan was intentional. Partner with LVMH, build a strong product launch strategy, create systems for long-term distribution, and position the brand as both luxury and accessible. The result was not only financial success, but also global cultural influence.
The same principle applies to small-scale entrepreneurs, the kind Jakes often writes for. A mother in Brazil selling handmade clothing online succeeds not because she dreams, but because she schedules production, defines her budget, sets delivery dates, manages inventory, identifies her marketing strategy, and tracks her finances. Her dream becomes a business because she builds as intentionally as a pilot maps a route. As we follow Jake's thought trajectory, we see yet another principle naturally follow planning. Your environment must support the dream you are building. A plane cannot take off in a hangar. It must be on a runway. Many people sabotage their dreams because they remain in environments that cannot sustain growth. Wrong relationships, stifling communities, toxic workplaces, unsupportive partnerships, or stagnant routines can all smother a dream that is ready to fly. Your environment influences your energy, your creativity, your courage, and your mindset. If you surround yourself with people who only see limitations, your dream will shrink. If you surround yourself with people who see possibility, your dream expands. Jakes teaches that you cannot soar with people who refuse to leave the ground. Consider the difference environment made for companies like WhatsApp or Instagram. They launched in Silicon Valley not because the founders wanted a glamorous atmosphere, but because the environment offered access to developers, mentors, investors, and a culture of innovation. Their ideas were born in small rooms but grew in ecosystems optimized for flight. But even outside major tech hubs, environment matters. For example, in Kenya, the rise of innovation hubs like iHub created supportive ecosystems for startups that would later impact millions across the continent. These environments offered internet access, mentorship, collaboration, and community, resources that many dreamers lacked individually. On a micro scale, even home environments matter. A teenager in Chicago practicing photography in his bedroom may need to connect with online creative communities to grow. A tailor in Accra may need to relocate to a busier commercial area for more visibility. A writer in Los Angeles may need to join a critique group to refine her craft. Environments shape momentum. And yet, as environment shapes momentum, another lesson emerges. You must learn to build a team because no dream that soars is built alone. Jakes uses the aviation metaphor to emphasize that even the greatest pilot does not fly alone. There are engineers, air traffic controllers, maintenance teams, fueling teams, weather analysts, and support staff all contributing to one successful flight. Likewise, every dream requires people: mentors, advisors, collaborators, strategists, employees, partners, or supporters. This does not mean handing your dream to the wrong hands. Rather, it means recognizing that your weaknesses do not disqualify you. They simply indicate areas where you must collaborate. Teamwork multiplies strength. Teamwork increases speed. Teamwork prevents burnout. Teamwork expands perspective. Consider Apple's rise under Steve Jobs. Jobs had vision and design instincts, but he also had Tim Cook, whose logistics and operational genius turned Apple into a well-oiled machine. Cook's mastery of supply chains made Apple products accessible globally. Jobs was the pilot, Cook was the engineer ensuring the plane didn't crash. Or consider how many successful small businesses thrive because of strong team support. A woman running a catering business in Atlanta might rely on her sister for deliveries, her husband for finances, her neighbor for marketing photos, or her aunt for ingredient sourcing. Her team enables scale. Her team accelerates impact. Her team makes the dream sustainable. But building a team introduces another inevitable lesson. You must be willing to let go of control to grow. This is often the hardest step for dreamers. Many people are so emotionally attached to their idea that they resist delegation. They fear that no one else will handle the work at the same standard. They fear losing control. They fear risks introduced by other people. Yet Jakes insists that a dream cannot become an enterprise until the dreamer is willing to share responsibility. Control suffocates creativity when held too tightly. Delegation is not a betrayal of the dream, it is a commitment to its expansion. Just as a plane cannot be flown, maintained, fueled, and monitored by one person, a dream cannot reach global altitude if one person insists on doing everything alone. This is visible in modern examples like Jeff Bezos transitioning leadership of Amazon to Andy Jassy, allowing Bezos to pursue broader visions while the company continued to thrive. It's also seen in how small family businesses survive through generational succession, where founders trust younger members to take over. But trusting others introduces new challenges, and Jakes transitions us naturally into another profound lesson. You must be emotionally mature enough to handle turbulence. Every flight encounters turbulence, unexpected disruptions, market shifts, financial pressure, betrayal, delays, criticism, failure, or internal conflict. Emotional immaturity causes dreamers to quit prematurely. Emotional maturity equips them to stabilize their altitude and continue flying. This type of maturity is not about suppressing feelings, but about managing them constructively. A financially stressed entrepreneur doesn't abandon the dream impulsively. They adjust strategy. A business facing negative reviews doesn't shut down, it improves its product. A founder whose partner makes a mistake doesn't explode, they evaluate and retrain. Global success stories reflect this truth. Elon Musk endured multiple rocket explosions. Netflix faced near bankruptcy before pivoting from DVD rentals to streaming. Nigerian startup Andela struggled with early skepticism before scaling its model internationally. Uber survived global regulatory battles because leadership adapted and persevered. Each turbulence refined strategy and strengthened resilience. In your own life, turbulence may appear as discouragement, slow growth, tight finances, or failed attempts. Emotional maturity ensures you don't confuse turbulence with defeat. A plane shaking midair is not falling, it's adjusting. And woven beneath this lesson is yet another truth. Resilience is built through repeated takeoffs, not perfect flights. The more you try, the stronger you become. Confidence grows through experience. A plane that never leaves the ground can never prove its capability. Likewise, a dream kept inside you can never build resilience. You must attempt, fail, learn, adjust, and attempt again. Every try strengthens your wings.
Resilience, Jakes explains, is not a personality trait, but a trained reflex. It is the outcome of refusing to interpret temporary setbacks as permanent verdicts. Every great builder has scars. Every successful enterprise carries the fingerprints of past mistakes. This is not a signal of failure, it is evidence of growth. Think about the story of Walt Disney, who was fired from a newspaper for lacking creativity. His early studios faced bankruptcy multiple times. He was rejected by investors repeatedly. But these setbacks didn't stop him. They carved him, they refined him, they taught him lessons that later helped build one of the most impactful entertainment empires on earth. Disney didn't soar because he never failed. He soared because he kept taking off.
And in modern times, look at Jack Ma of Alibaba. He was rejected from Harvard 10 times, turned down by multiple employers, including KFC, and mocked for his ambitious dreams. Yet he persisted. His resilience, born from repeated rejections, became the force that empowered him to build one of the world's largest e-commerce ecosystems. Jakes teaches that resilience is learned the same way a pilot learns to trust the aircraft, through experience. By facing pressure, by adjusting to turbulence, by failing forward. Each attempt makes you stronger. Each failure makes you wiser. Each setback makes you more capable of navigating future storms. And as resilience grows, the dream evolves from idea to enterprise. This ushers us naturally into another core principle Jakes emphasizes. You must structure your dream as a business, not a hobby. Many talented people remain stuck because they treat their gifts like side activities rather than scalable enterprises. They rely on raw enthusiasm rather than systems, planning, and structure. They resist the discipline required to turn their passion into profit. But passion without structure is chaos. Structure turns passion into power. Aviation makes this principle obvious. A plane may be beautifully designed, but without maintenance schedules, compliance checks, crew assignments, fuel planning, and operational systems, it cannot legally or safely fly. In business, structure is the equivalent of systems, and systems are the backbone of sustainability. This is why Jakes pushes his readers to think like entrepreneurs, not hobbyists. If you bake cakes, you are not merely a baker, you are a culinary brand. If you make clothes, you are not just a tailor, you are a fashion enterprise. If you write, you are not simply creative, you are a content producer capable of building a literary or digital platform. This shift in identity from hobbyist to enterprise builder changes everything. It forces you to consider branding, customer service, scalability, profit margins, cost structure, marketing, and long-term goals. It forces you to treat your dream with the professionalism it deserves. Look at how YouTube creators are now building empires. What started as a hobby for many, recording videos, has transformed into full-scale businesses involving content calendars, branding strategies, merchandise lines, sponsorship contracts, editing teams, and financial planning. People like Mr. Beast, KSI, or Nigeria's Mark Angel Comedy did not become global figures by treating content creation casually. They built systems. Similarly, small entrepreneurs around the world, whether in food businesses, crafts, fashion, logistics, or digital services, have scaled their dreams by adding business structure. Accounting apps, customer management systems, delivery channels, marketing strategies, and branding consistency. This reveals another embedded lesson that flows directly from structure. You must understand money, not fear it, misuse it, or ignore it. Many people have dreams larger than their financial literacy. They want to build enterprises but avoid learning about profit margins, cash flow, taxes, inventory, or investments. Jakes warns that financial ignorance is one of the greatest destroyers of aspiration. Money is not emotional. It is mathematical. If you do not understand how it works, it will punish your dream. This is not about greed. It is about stewardship. Money is a tool of sustainability. It fuels the aircraft. Without proper fuel management, even the best designed plane will crash. Financial understanding includes knowing how to price products, how to negotiate, how to track expenses, how to reinvest profits, how to avoid unnecessary debt, and how to create multiple revenue streams to reduce risk. Consider global companies that excel at this principle. Starbucks scaled internationally not just because of good coffee, but because of strategic financial discipline. Systems that track supply chains, standardize operations across continents, and reinvested profits into growth. Amazon's success stems not from immediate profits, but from long-term reinvestment strategies that fueled expansion. On a smaller scale, think about immigrant entrepreneurs in the U.S. Korean store owners, Nigerian grocery shops, Indian motel owners, Mexican restaurant families, who often turn modest beginnings into intergenerational wealth. Their secret is not luck. It is disciplined financial stewardship, saving aggressively, reinvesting wisely, minimizing waste, and treating every dollar as a business asset. But financial literacy leads directly to another truth. You must be willing to start small while thinking big. This is a theme Jakes returns to repeatedly. Many dreamers delay their calling because they want perfect conditions before starting. They want a full loan, a perfect space, expensive equipment, or a big team. But Jakes challenges this mindset. Plan big, but start small. Start with what you have. Growth is a process. Wings are not built in a day. Small beginnings are not signs of weakness, they are the runway. Runways are long, flat, and seemingly unimpressive, but they make flight possible. Think about tech giants that began in garages: Google, Amazon, Apple. Think about Dangote, who began trading commodities before becoming Africa's richest industrialist. Think about Oprah Winfrey, who began with local media work before becoming a global brand. Growth always begins small. And as you begin, Jakes emphasizes the next connected principle. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Dreamers often start with excitement, bursting with energy, passion, and ambition. But excitement fades. Real builders rely on consistency, daily habits, disciplined routines, steady progress. Consistency makes businesses predictable. Predictability builds trust. Trust builds customer loyalty. Think about McDonald's. Whether you're in New York, Dubai, or Johannesburg, the fries taste the same. That consistency built a global empire. Think about YouTube creators who post weekly videos for years, slowly building an audience. Think about authors who write a little every day until they complete their first book. Consistency beats talent when talent is inconsistent. Consistency beats passion when passion is intermittent. Consistency is the quiet engine of long-term success. And consistency leads naturally into quality. A product that solves a real problem will always find wings. Jakes urges dreamers to build solutions, not just businesses. A solution-driven mindset makes your work relevant. When your dream meets a genuine need, your audience becomes your fuel. Consider how TikTok exploded globally. It solved a problem. People wanted fast, entertaining, highly shareable content. Uber solved a problem. People needed safer, more convenient transportation. Canva solved a problem. Everyday people needed easy design tools. PayPal solved a problem. People needed digital payment systems. In Africa, M-Pesa revolutionized mobile money because it solved a real pain point: banking accessibility. In America, Lyft, Netflix, Zoom, Cash App, Shein, Shopify, and dozens of others took off because they solved problems.
But once value is established, another principle emerges. Marketing is the wind beneath the wings of your product. Many brilliant ideas fail not because they lack quality, but because no one knows they exist. Jakes emphasizes that you must learn how to communicate your value to the world through branding, storytelling, social media, networking, partnerships, and visibility strategies. In the modern world, attention is currency. If people do not see you, they cannot support you. Marketing is not vanity, it is survival. Think about how brands like Nike use storytelling,
athlete journeys, cultural movements, empowerment messages to create global loyalty. Or how small businesses today use TikTok and Instagram Reels to reach millions of viewers with minimal cost. Marketing democratizes opportunity. A high school student selling handmade bracelets can reach global buyers if she understands how to market effectively. Which brings us to another seamlessly connected lesson. Your brand is not what you say, it is what people experience. Branding is emotional. It is the feeling people associate with your product. It is the trust they have in your name. It is the reputation you build through consistency, quality, and integrity. Chick-fil-A built its brand around service excellence. Apple built its brand on innovation and simplicity. Tesla built its brand around disruption. Netflix built its brand around convenience and variety. In Nigeria, brands like GIG Logistics built their brand around reliability and customer care. Your brand is your promise. Your promise must be kept, and kept consistently. Yet even with strong branding, one more truth rises from Jake's teachings. Growth requires reinvention. What works today may not work tomorrow. Markets shift. Technology evolves. Consumer needs transform. What soared 5 years ago may struggle today. Builders must remain adaptable. Netflix shifted from DVD rentals to streaming. Amazon shifted from books to global commerce. Adobe moved from packaged software to cloud subscriptions. Local businesses worldwide shifted online during COVID-19. Reinvention keeps dreams alive. And the courage to reinvent leads into another key principle. Your mindset must expand at the same rate as your dream. A big dream cannot survive in a small mind. You must continuously learn, grow, evolve, read, study, and challenge your assumptions. Limiting beliefs can ground your aircraft. Expansive thinking unlocks new altitudes. Which brings us to the next section. But even as you map out the details of what you want to build, T.D. Jakes reminds us that every dream must eventually face the weather, the unpredictable storms, recessions, setbacks, betrayals, delays, or market changes that will challenge the strength of the structure you're creating. He warns that an idea that collapses the moment it meets resistance is an idea built without reinforcement, and a dreamer who gives up at the sound of trouble is a pilot not ready to take off. This is the point where passion meets practicality, where optimism learns to coexist with realism, and where builders become resilient innovators. And resilience is not abstract, it is deeply practical. It shows up in the entrepreneur who loses their first business but uses the lessons to build a second one that thrives. It shows up in the content creator who posts consistently for a year with almost no views but finally breaks through because they refuse to surrender. It shows up in the immigrant family that moves to a new country with barely enough money for bus fare, but eventually opens a restaurant that becomes a neighborhood landmark. These are not miracles, they are manifestations of sustained resilience. One of the greatest demonstrations of resilience in recent American business history is the story of Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks. Few people know that before Starbucks became a global giant, Schultz struggled financially, emotionally, and personally to secure funding for the concept of a coffee experience rather than a coffee purchase. Investors didn't understand the idea. Many laughed at the thought that Americans would sit in coffee shops and pay premium prices for espresso. Schultz faced over 200 rejections, but the weather did not break him. Instead, those rejections became reinforcements. He often said, "If people had supported me too early, I might never have learned how to build a storm-proof vision." T.D. Jakes uses such examples to explain a transformational truth. Storms don't stop builders. Storms shape builders. They sharpen judgment, strengthen focus, and douse naivete. They push you into strategic thinking instead of emotional reacting. And this is where the next lesson emerges. every builder must develop the discipline of adaptive execution. Because the world does not stand still. Markets shift, technology evolves, consumer expectations rise, cultural norms change. Yet many dreams fail not because the dream was wrong, but because the builder refused to adjust their methods. As Jakes puts it, an eagle that will not respond to changing air currents will eventually lose altitude. The same applies to dreamers. You do not change your calling, but you must evolve your strategy. Consider the rise of Netflix. The company began as a DVD by mail service, which was innovative for its time. But when streaming began to emerge as a new global possibility, Netflix adapted quickly. Had they clung to their original model without innovation, they would have been crushed by competitors. Instead, they evolved from a delivery service into a digital powerhouse and then into one of the world's largest producers of original content. That shift required courage to abandon what was familiar, humility to learn what was new, and vision to see where the world was heading. This is precisely what Jakes means when he pushes readers to treat their dream not as a single event, but as an evolving organism. Your business must adapt, your mindset must adapt, your skills must adapt, your strategy must adapt. Without adaptation, even the most passionate dream will eventually suffocate under the weight of irrelevance. And adaptation naturally leads us to another profound element of Jake's teachings, the importance of timing. Too many dreams die because they are either rushed prematurely or delayed indefinitely. Jakes describes timing as the wind beneath the wings of the eagle, a force you must learn to cooperate with, not control. The right idea launched at the wrong time will falter, the wrong idea launched prematurely will collapse. The right idea delayed indefinitely will atrophy. This truth resonates globally. Consider the rise of Zoom. Although the company existed for years before the pandemic, its leadership had already optimized its system, ensured high-quality stability, and built an infrastructure capable of scaling. When the world suddenly shifted into remote communication, Zoom didn't scramble, it simply soared. Timing met preparation, and the result reshaped global communication. But Jakes also emphasizes that timing is not passive. You don't simply wait for a perfect moment. You position yourself so effectively that when opportunity aligns, you are ready to seize it. The world is full of people who prayed for an opportunity, but never prepared for it. They asked for a platform, but didn't develop their voice. They dreamed of a business, but never learned how to manage money. They wanted growth, but resisted discipline.
Thus emerges the next lesson. Dreams require a builder's character just as much as a builder's competence. Character determines whether the vision expands or implodes. Competence may open doors, but character determines whether they stay open. This is evident in the downfall of numerous CEOs and innovators who possessed brilliant vision but lacked emotional maturity, integrity, or accountability. From corporate scandals like Enron to the collapse of promising startups due to toxic leadership, history repeatedly teaches the same truth. A dreamer who cannot manage themselves cannot sustainably manage their dream. On the other hand, consider leaders like Satya Nadella, who transformed Microsoft not simply through innovation, but through cultural reconstruction. His leadership emphasized empathy, curiosity, humility, and collaboration. Under Nadella's tenure, Microsoft revived itself from stagnation and reclaimed its position as one of the most valuable companies in the world. His story highlights the principle embedded in Soar. Greatness is not born from raw ambition. It is born from refined character. And character inevitably influences another dimension of Jakes's teachings, the way we build relationships and partnerships, because no dream, no matter how brilliant, can be built alone.
Eagles soar, but they don't build alone. Entrepreneurs dream, but they don't succeed alone. Even Jesus had disciples. Even Moses had Aaron. Even the world's greatest CEOs have co-founders, boards, mentors, investors, and teams. Jakes urges dreamers to choose their partners wisely, not based on familiarity, but based on capacity. Not based on emotion, but alignment. Not based on convenience, but shared commitment. He warns that the wrong partner can sabotage the right dream, while the right partner can multiply your reach, accelerate your progress, and expand your impact. Relationship strategy, he argues, is not optional, it is foundational. To illustrate this, consider the early partnership between Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Jobs had the vision, charisma, and business instinct. Wozniak had the engineering genius and technical precision. Together, they built Apple. Alone, neither could have created that magnitude of innovation at that scale. This shows that when complementary strengths come together under a shared purpose, exponential potential is unlocked. And yet, Jakes also teaches that partnerships are not only about collaboration, they are about alignment of values. A visionary builder must surround themselves with people who are trustworthy, disciplined, and mature. You need mentors who challenge your blind spots, advisors who test your assumptions, friends who believe in your potential, investors who share your ethics, and team members whose integrity strengthens your structure. As partnerships deepen, another truth emerges. Great dreams require careful stewardship of resources. Many people believe they lack the money to start, but Japes emphasizes that the real problem is often not the absence of resources, but the mismanagement of resources. He teaches that money follows responsibility, and investors follow discipline. A dreamer who wastes today's opportunities cannot be trusted with tomorrow's prosperity. He encourages readers to study financial literacy, reduce unnecessary expenses, and increase intentional investments. Use what you have. Master small responsibilities so larger ones can be entrusted to you. This is the mindset behind the global success story of Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx. She started her company with only $5,000 in personal savings, no external investors, and no industry experience. But she managed her resources masterfully, reinvesting profits, maintaining financial discipline, and resisting premature expansion. Today, Spanx is a billion-dollar company, and Blakely became the youngest self-made woman billionaire at the time. Her story aligns perfectly with Jake's philosophy. Disciplined stewardship opens doors that raw desire cannot. As the builder gains mastery over resources, partnerships, timing, resilience, and adaptation, a new challenge emerges: sustaining momentum. Many dreamers start strong but fade midway. They lose enthusiasm, become overwhelmed, or grow discouraged when progress slows. Jakes teaches that sustaining momentum requires a balance of rest and action. Builders must understand that fatigue is natural, but burnout is avoidable. You cannot build your dream if you destroy yourself in the process. This principle has become especially important in the modern world where hustle culture often glorifies exhaustion. Jakes counters this mindset with wisdom. Your dream should not cost you your health, your relationships, or your sanity. True success is sustainable, not self-destructive. And sustainable success requires intentional rest, spiritual renewal, emotional grounding, and boundaries that protect your inner life from external chaos. Consider global figures like Michelle Obama, who repeatedly emphasized the necessity of balance, restoration, and mental well-being, even while operating at the highest levels of influence. Her discipline in maintaining her identity, health, and family stability amidst immense pressure reflects precisely the kind of grounded building that Jakes advocates. And this steady, balanced momentum leads to the ultimate stage of the journey, using your success to lift others. T.D. Jakes argues that a dream that ends with you is too small. True soaring is not individual, it is generational. You build in a way that creates opportunities for others to rise. You scale in a way that strengthens your community. You lead in a way that empowers those behind you. You leave something behind that outlives your lifespan. This is why he consistently emphasizes legacy. The plane you build should not only take you to your destination, it should create a runway for others to take off as well. Look at leaders like Warren Buffett, who not only built immense personal wealth, but decided to donate the majority of it to foundations that address global poverty, education, and healthcare. Or consider social entrepreneurs across Africa, Asia, and Latin America who use their companies not just for profit, but to uplift local communities, empower women, improve literacy, or provide clean water. These examples show what Jakes teaches. Success becomes meaningful only when it becomes a seed. And as we come full circle through these lessons, T.D. Jakes leaves us with one profound truth. The power to soar has always been inside you. The dream is not external, it is internal. The capacity to build is not magical, it is intentional. The ability to rise is not inherited, it is cultivated. You were not made for stagnation. You were created for flight. But flight requires willingness. It requires decision. It requires preparation. It requires courage. It requires responsibility. It requires character. It requires resilience. It requires adaptation. It requires timing. It requires stewardship. It requires legacy. And all these qualities woven together create the builder, the person who does not merely fantasize about a dream, but constructs it brick by brick until it becomes a reality that others can touch, see, and benefit from. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and join us for more wisdom that fuels growth.